To sniff or not to sniff? Some say that this was the question Sir William Pickling asked the day he hit puberty. The moustache, known for its potency and lack of criticism, has for years been a man's best friend, guarding us from the cold winters and the summer heat with its reliable upper lip blanket. The great moustache played an influence in the rise of powerful men, alerting to us the three main reasons why moustaches are important in the modern day. First, the moustache has been seen as a confidence booster. Many schools have even started teaching about the moustache in order to increase the students' confidence levels. Students of moustaches have often been praised for their charismatic and charming demeanor. Gregory Font, a former high school gangster turned criminal turned Walmart cashier, alerted to police that at a young age he was subjected to the cruel and inhumane disease known as bullying. Yes, you heard it correct. The proud gangster had been through it all. But as naive as he was, he testified one thing that caught my attention. Had I known of the superior stature accompanied with the mustache, those bullies wouldn't know what hit them. As of writing this, bullying has decreased to a certain level due to many students having mustaches. Second, the stroking of the mustache has been scientifically proven to allow people to think much better and much quicker, in the same sense as scratching one's head. Many great writers had their wisdom deep-seated in their mustaches. Just the act of slowly stroking one's mustache while thinking of a poetic device allowed many writers to easily think outside the box. As of writing this, our society morals have changed, and many men have turned against the mustache, which resulted in a lack of philosophical writers. And lastly, the mustache's influence in creating entertaining humor will forever be perpetual. The stache undoubtedly plays a role in comical relief, as back in the early 1900s, it influenced comedy in many ways. Science has proven that without the mustache's humorous undertone, the world would have been a far more dull existence. As of writing this, comedy still needs the assistance of the mustache. While doing my research on the pursuit of purposeful existence, I was greeted by a sign which read, "But with every good thing, there's always a mustache deemed inappropriate." To fully comprehend the true potency of the stache, we need a brief history of the early years of the mustache's creation. The mustache was first claimed to be discovered around the years 2000 BC. While the dates may be incorrect due to defaults in our time machine, one Egyptian resident was able to introduce us to the ancient mustache temples. The mustache temples were said to hold a potential beyond human existence. Many claimed that the knowledge of this power started to attract questionable leaders. This would lead to many people turning against the mustache. Because of the lack of technology and artificial gadgets, no human was able to get their hands back on the power of the mustache. Many years would go by, and it seemed rather impossible to obtain something as great as the mustache. But then, science would go on to create cheaper mustache alternatives. In 1870, Sir Fritz Goulart would go on to invent the idea of pasting bird feathers on one's upper lip in order to get a sort of similar mustache sensation. The mustache would be known as the feather duster. Its girth and length made it more appealing to various men looking for partners. It granted a lot of men the confidence to approach women without the feeling of insecurity. One man would testify that every time he got home from work, he would immediately paste his feather duster on top of his upper lip.
"You're the worst, you don't know about it. Me and the lads, we try to keep it under the hat, if you know what I mean.
Not long after, many women had begun to feel suspicious about their husband's legitimacy. This would lead to an increase of divorces, as many men were unable to keep it under the hat for long enough. The phony inventor Fritz Goulart would go on to denounce the fact that he had invented the feather duster, but by then, it would be far too late. It is said that during the year 3000 BC, the toothbrush was invented. This would influence many crafty men, such as Albert Marsh, to start seizing this opportunity in order to promote their own mustache, known as the toothstache. Because of the toothstache's resemblance to the mustache, thousands of people started to mimic the idea by placing toothbrushes on top of their upper lips. And around 1908, the official toothstache had been promoted all over the globe. The stache undoubtedly had a comical fondness amongst its mimickers. Rather than its influence in attracting women, it played a role in comical effect. Had it not been for man's growing urge for upper lip cloak, humanity would never have gotten a real taste of a real mustache. Dr. Jeremy Rattle was the name, the facial hair enthusiast, who through his so-called studies discovered that humans can grow a natural mustache within a range of time. In 1540, he left behind notes related to his 50-year study on the growth of the folklore mustache. His stereotypical and kinda racist studies would, however, be taken to good use in the end. After years of fake mustache replicas, science had been able to develop facial hair growth hormones, which would, as promised, allow all men to have naturally born mustaches. Around 1945, the mustache took the world by storm, as many comedians began to jump on the bandwagon. Various people were infatuated with their new looks. Later that year, the law of the stache was introduced. Rather than only using toothstashes and feather dusters for comical fondness, it was agreed upon that all mustaches were funny. A mustache, regardless of how fake or real it was, had the respect of various men all over. But not everyone was fond of the law, as in 1964, many leaders had felt discontent with the way mustaches were being portrayed. A young Flint Edwardson wrote a book titled The Unprotected Stache. In the book, he highlighted the reason why mustaches were primal and the importance of keeping them that way. However, his book had its fair share of disagreements, as it was looked down upon by several political writers. Art went from being innovative to absurd and catastrophic. Music went from being pleasing to highly ludicrous. Many serious men had begun to panic. The thought of losing all earnestness had made many serious men feel left out. The only way this would be prevented would be by starting a war between serious and absurd. Enter in the Who Had a Better Mustache War. The war undoubtedly had mustache propaganda. Boshan Manure, the proud dictator/terrorist and unfunny man, was elected the leader of the serious stache movement. He made sure that his followers conducted themselves with admiration. Every Tuesday evening, around 9 to 10 p.m., he'd make a double rule-out of any participant who had an unserious mustache.
Right then, take him away, boys.
This would catch the attention of the president. The president was not going to allow dictatorship to get in the way of a free society, so he sent a telegram to Boshan Manure asking him to end this ludicrous behavior, to which Boshan Manure would respond with, as I'm told, a quite calming demeanor, saying, "Get stuffed or else." Signed, 2 fingers up. The war broke out within a matter of days. Men had manly disagreements. Fathers turned against their sons. Around 1,000 postmen had risked their lives, day in and day out, delivering telegrams of propaganda and several news articles.
Telegram for Boshan Manure. Telegram for bazaar manure.
Your mustache so whack. A better fly would resist it.
Telegram for the president. Telegram for the president. Your mustache is so unorthodox. I bet my left finger that no one of the opposite sex would find it appealing. Telegram for bazaar manure. Telegram for bazaar manure. Telegram for the president. Telegram for the president. Telegram for bazaar manure. For the president. Telegram for bazaar manure.
As you can see here, both sides preferred using combat rather than playing a fair game of golf. Although some may question this, we have to admit that they all fought for a noble cause. The war continued until 1973, during the Paris Peace Accords. A new mustache law was created, known as the All-Stache War, which to this day still reads, "A mustache is a man's best friend." While many may see it as a comedy mechanism, others prefer to call it a gentleman's charm. Although disagreements are more than likely, a mustache remains a man's best friend.
Kiss me goodnight, Sergeant Major. Put me in my little wooden. We all love you, Sergeant Major. And we shouted to your mother, show a like. Don't forget to wake me in the morning and bring me up a nice hot cup of tea. 2 sugars. We all love you, Sergeant Major. Sergeant Major, be a mother to me.